There are many things that we can talk about as far as groups are concerned and the management of groups are concerned. We can talk about leadership, management, we can talk about goals, and we can talk about turnover, the company turnover that we have to reach, a certain income. Okay, we can talk about all of these things that people understand very well because they see something practical about it. Today, however, I want to speak about an aspect that seemingly is not very important. It's almost formal, and to a certain extent, it is formal, but at the same time, it is full of importance. And these are standards. Now, what are standards? Standards are norms of behavior. In other words, they're rules that you have to follow in order to have a certain behavior so that you can reach certain goals or certain aspirations, whatever. Okay. So you set yourself norms or standards. And the quality of those standards will determine actually the identity of, let's say, your family, if you want to apply this to your family, to yourself, to your company, to an association, to an organization, whatever. So let's say, for example, that you want to organize a wine wine amateur club. Okay, let's put it that way. And so you have to set some norms because usually clubs have some standards, have some norms that they have to follow. Say, for example, you have to you don't curse, you use a moderate language, you show up to the meetings on time, possibly, the usual things so that you can be recognized as people that are following rules. So, which makes sense if you want to be in a club. However, you have often when you're just focused on how people should behave, what they should do and should not do, what's considered good mannered and what's not considered good mannered, you have to think that if you want to take that club, for example, to another level, let's say an association of wine experts, of real people who really know what wine is, how it's made, how it's done, what is a good quality wine, and so on. Because if it's a club, probably people go there only to have a drink with friends. That's it. So if you want to take it to a next level, let's say, for example, one of the norms is that you have to have done at least a course, a seminar, a first degree sommelier. Okay, so you must have some kind of real good sound knowledge, at least a minimum. Or, for example, you have to um, organize events, and you have to know a certain quantity of wines, where they come from, how they're done, how they're produced, how much of that production is being done every year. All these things, like real experts. They're not the same rules as before, and we're still talking about wine, but it's at another level. Now, what happens when you're at that level? Do you have to remind your associates that they should not use a dirty language when they speak, that they shouldn't curse, they shouldn't spit in the ground or stuff like that? You don't have to remind them of that because you've taken them to another level. Now, this is great because even you can do that with your children as well. Okay, you have to educate your children, right? You have to tell them what's right, what's wrong, what they have to do. They have to do their beds. They have to go to bed at a certain time. You set rules, right? And that's okay when they're small children, but as they grow, you can't stand there like a guard and make sure they've done all these things. You don't want that. So what you do is you raise the norms, you raise the standards that they have to abide by. And how do you do that? You start speaking about values. You start speaking about identity, about purpose. This is what you do with your children. And at that point, when they think at another level, you don't have to remind them that they have to do their beds. Because, for example, if you talk about respect, okay, you do the bed not because it's a rule, but because you're helping your family, your mother, for example, because if you don't do the bed, she's going to have to do it. And she has so many other things to do, or you have to do it as a father. So we talk about respect. You don't have to remind your child that doing his bed is part of his duties because he has that already in himself. You're in a company, for example, you're a team leader or a small business owner, and you have a team that you have to guide. You set yourself goals, right? You want to raise your annual income. You want to break into the market, for example. You want to have a bigger share into the market for your product or service. That's absolutely right. That's what you're supposed to do. And so, for example, you set some kind of rules. You have to, for example, in meetings, you have to be punctual. You have to have done your homework. You must be focused. You must assume your own responsibilities. That's part of the game if you want to reach a goal, right? Everybody has to do its own thing. But you can't do that all along because as a leader, you're going to get stuck into that. And you have to check that everybody does what the standards have said. So how do you get over that? You raise the standards and you talk about values. What are you there for? Okay, what you want to do when you grow? Okay, how do you want to express your uniqueness on the market, for example? So when you think in these terms, then what you do is that you set new standards, new norms. For example, take yourself 5 minutes to inspire yourself through a video, through a song, through a reading, like uh, quotes of famous people that really inspire you. Do that every day, a new one. But don't come to work that you're not inspired. And for example, communicate more among among the team members, a deeper communication. Not just say, okay, how was your weekend? How's your family and stuff like that. Go deeper into things. Okay. What do you think about what we've done last week? Wasn't that great? What did you enjoy about that? A leader can start the communication, but then people will slowly and gradually learn to do these things and ask these questions spontaneously. And for example, talk about where do you want your company to be like 2 or 5 years from now? How do you see yourself? How do you see the company? How will it be doing? How much of the market has our company gained in 5 years, 10 years, whatever? Talk about these things. Make their mind be projected to the future. And always keep the level of positivity high. And if you give feedbacks, you give feedbacks. You don't criticize. You see, they're different from before. If people understand that they're working at another level, you don't have to remind them that you have to do your homework, that you have to be punctual in meetings, that you have to be focused, that you have to be responsible. That goes by itself. Why? Because as you have reached a higher level, all those things are integrated in you already. You do them automatically. You don't have to check on them. Just like you wouldn't check on your kid if he's done his bed. You know he will have done his bed. And you don't have to check that. Why? Because you've taken him to another level. So you see how important this is. If you want your company, your organization, family, whatever, to run in automatic and to have people that are involved And in the common mission of a company or a family doesn't make any difference. Then you have to raise standards. That's the only way to do it. It's very simple. Okay, it takes time. You have to know when they're ready for that, because for a while they have to follow the rules, just the rules by themselves. But when you see that they're starting to get there, and even and instead of reminding them to do certain things once every day, and then it becomes once a week, and it becomes once a month, then you know they're ready to go to the next level. And not doing this will, seriously penalize you. It will, because you cannot avoid growing, because you either grow or you go back. There's no staticity in nature, in our reality. Nothing stays as it is. So keep going. Don't stop. See you next time.